YouTube, what's really good? It's your man Ribs from Ribs Doing Film Things. All right, so this video is gonna be a bit haphazard. I'm not gonna do anything fancy. And the point of this video is I actually wanna introduce you to my darkroom. So right now we're in my bedroom, which is kind of the beginning phase of the print journey. So before getting into the darkroom, I wanna show you what things I do in here. First and foremost here, we've got the actual negatives. This is the actual thing that you're gonna go ahead and print. So I've got a pair of gloves here that I use to handle my negatives. I've got a big binder full of a ton of negatives over the last, I'd say, 4 months or so. This is the negative holder from the actual Enlarger, which we'll talk about in a second. And then of course, here we have a bunch of negatives. So we have 3 different negatives that I've pulled out from each of these sheets. And basically these are 3 different events, 3 different roles. So for this one, this is actually from November of last year. I'm gonna go print one of those images from Thanksgiving time. This is from last year as well, from a trip I took to Aruba in the Caribbean. And then this is from the last time I was in New York City. I shot a roll of Cinestill, so I'm very excited to print one of those images as well. Yeah, so very simple setup here in the bedroom, and it's basically just where I house my negatives in order to not have this all in the darkroom. And then here we have a drying rack, and this is where the prints come to dry after I've squeegeed them and after they've kind of hung out in the bathroom for a little bit. These 2 are final prints that I'm very happy with from a color perspective. This one's a bit crooked, so whatever, disregard that. But this one is looking a lot more like a print. I wouldn't consider it my final print because again, it's not perfect. The paper is bent right here and it's not centered properly, but color-wise, this is exactly what I wanted. Since I got the color correct on those, basically all I need to do now is write down the formula that I used to print that. Basically the amount of time, any kind of dodging and burning information, and then also the color information in terms of CMY. You write that stuff down and then this is repeatable over and over and over again. You can print this as many times as you want and it should give you the same result every single time. All right, y'all, as you see, this is my darkroom. It's basically inside of my bathroom, and my bathroom's not tiny, but it's also not huge. Just the right amount of space to be able to do this and do it semi-comfortably. Left the toilet uncovered here because of course I need quick access to that in case someone has to pee. So that's the only thing that I don't take over entirely. But let's go ahead and start giving you the specifics. So as we come in, the first thing you're gonna see here is the actual Enlarger. And this is a Meopta color Enlarger. I don't know how to pronounce that, but let's say Meopta for now. Correct me if you want in the comments. And this is a color Enlarger that includes all of the filters inside of it, which is super useful and means I don't have to hack it away with kind of using the exterior filters that you put on the lens or anything like that. So this Enlarger does let me do 8x10s and also some larger ones as well. As you can see the baseboard here, it's not tiny, but it's also not humongous. But that sheet that you see there is an 8x10. And finally, this Enlarger only does 35mm. You can't really tell there because it looks like any other Enlarger. But the holder that it brings, which you shove right in here, only fits 35mm. And that's a bit of a bummer, but for the money that I paid for it, it's perfect. And 35 is what I shoot most of the time anyway, so I'm not really missing out on too much. Next thing I want to show you is the wet area of my darkroom. So this is the bathtub. Of course, I got a faucet there that I can pour water and pour things down the drain. And then I've got 2 very important things here. One is this bucket, and that bucket is where I heat up my chemicals. Heating makes a big difference with chemicals, but you can obviously do stuff room temperature as well, which just means it's gonna take a bit longer. So I'm not being very precise yet because I don't have a sous-vide machine to control the temperature, but for now I just use very hot water and let the bottles hang out in there. And that basically gets me to the temperature that I need. What else do you have in here? So I have 2 measuring cups. We've got one there and one there. And basically I use those 2, one for my Dev and one for my Blix. So this right here is the Jobo tank, and that right there is the rolling base for the Jobo tank. And basically the whole point of this is you put your tank on it, and then you start your Dev cycle and you rotate. And the rotating is very important because it helps provide even agitation, which allows your chemicals inside of the tank to evenly distribute around the print. The beauty of this combination right here is that the Jobodrum that you see right here requires very little chemicals to process paper. Let's say maybe 2 ounces of chemicals. If you're using processing trays, that actually uses a lot more chemicals because it's about surface area. So you need to fill up the whole thing so you can put your paper in and out. But while more convenient, you use a lot more chemicals and the air is exposed to the chemicals as well. So chemicals degrade a bit faster that way. This way I save a lot on chemicals and it's just very easy and contained. I don't need a ton of stuff. The last thing I want to point out is the paper that I use. This is the Fuji paper right here, and it's actually very inexpensive. You get 100 sheets in the whole pack, and I think this cost me maybe 35, 40 bucks US. And then of course I got a pair of scissors here, which I use to cut my strips. Strips are very important because that way you don't waste paper. You can do 3 strips, 4 strips out of one sheet, and you can use that to get your exposure down and your colors and all of that. It just saves you so much money in the long run, and you don't waste paper. And wasting paper, you know, it's just not good, whether it's because of money or just because of wasting. So I don't like doing it, but the strips definitely helps me get around that. So as you can see, that is my full setup here for my darkroom, and it's nothing complicated. It's definitely very elementary, but it has pretty much everything that I actually need to proceed. There are a couple things missing, but for now, this will definitely do. So what I really like about my setup is the fact that it's very inexpensive. All of that equipment that I got in there that was required for printing, I think cost me just shy under 400 pounds. 400 pounds is not, you know, a little bit of money, but in comparison to what you might be able to spend when you're looking to get every single component, could be a lot more. Just not getting the Jobo machine on its own, that alone saved me like 500 pounds. So very happy with the setup I have right now, and I think I can definitely, you know, make it scale for a 1-person operation. The other thing I don't have is a timer, and a timer is very important because it makes it very easy for you to be very precise with your exposure times on the Enlarger. Right now, I've just been using the on and off switch, and that works very well, but it's not extremely precise. So definitely gonna invest in a timer at some point soon. The last thing I don't have are the color filters that you use to look at your prints. So that's very important because it makes it very easy for you in terms of adjusting the colors on the Enlarger. Right now, I'm just using kind of textbook formulas and charts, which works, but it's a huge pain in the ass. Initially, I didn't know what I was doing and I wasted a whole bunch of paper doing test prints, but now I think I understand how this works, so I don't think I'll have such a bad time going forward. So that's the tour of my darkroom for today. Definitely want to encourage you, if you're thinking about printing or you're interested, go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to leave all of my information in the description below so you can see exactly what I've purchased so far. That's what I got for today. So if you enjoyed the video, definitely give me a like. If you want to see some prints and you want to see how I incorporate this in my workflow, definitely go ahead and subscribe as well. I plan on printing after every single video where I kind of go out and take photos and show you the photos that I get. Digital scans are awesome, but printing physical prints is also just as cool. Until the next video, peace.